is Erin from My Level 10 Life over on Meet the Author Show. And today we have a very special guest, Laura Hankin. And Laura is hilarious, witty. She's a performer, writer of books that make you laugh and feel all the feels. So Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. Well, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I grew up total bookworm. I was like always running around with my head in a book, and my parents had to be like, please don't get hit by a car. But I think I never really thought that I could be a writer. Beyond writing some like very bad poetry in 7th grade, as most teenagers probably do, and writing a story in 2nd grade about like all my family's secrets and reading it out loud at parents' night.
That is epic.
Yeah. I'm sure my parents loved that. But yeah, I got much more into theater because I think I was like, no, I tell other people's stories. I couldn't make them up myself. So big theater nerd. And then after college was living in New York, auditioning for shows, and was like, you know what? I need something creative that I can control. So why don't I just try writing? I love reading so much. Maybe I could be a writer too. And then it turned out that I loved it. And so I really just dove in from there. I got all these books out of the library of like novel writing for dummies and stuff like that. And now I've got some books out. I'm working on another one, and
okay, that's going to be one of my questions. But so you have the Summertime Girls,
yes,
and you have Happy and You Know It, and you have your newest one that we can all grab down below that I linked, and you have something else in the works. So you have written 4 books, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I would never guess that you were new to writing, just reading Happy and You Know It. And I would never guess that that's your second novel. Never.
Well, I think, I really worked through some stuff on my first one, The Summertime Girls, which sometimes I talk about and sometimes I just try to like bury it under the rug.
Oh, but then that's the one where people love the characters the most. Who knows?
Yeah.
You never know. And I love going back and reading like a writer that is, has something out now, and then going back and binge reading everything they have, which we do have Happy and You Know It link below, and The Summertime Girls that you guys can all check out down below. But if you had to pick a baby, which one's your favorite right now?
I don't know if this is just recency bias, but I do feel like A Special Place for Women is my favorite right now. But I sort of expect and hope to have throughout my whole career, whatever project I just finished polishing, be my favorite. Because I would like to feel like I'm always getting better.
So also, I feel like a huge congratulations are in order. You just got married a week ago. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Loved your Instagram stories. If you guys aren't following, is it just at Laura Hankin on Instagram? You guys can follow her over there, and her dreamy barn wedding.
It was on a farm in Virginia, and it was, if anybody is looking for a wedding venue in Virginia, you should check out Ballinger Farm. They specialize in smaller weddings, which is great because of COVID, we were like, we're going to just do something really small and intimate now, and then hopefully sometime in the future do a big, huge party. But it was great. It ended up raining. We'd planned the whole thing outdoors, and then it rained. But there was like a pretty little structure that we could all huddle underneath. And my dad and my brother went out and bought a bunch of flowers to like hang up everywhere inside. So it was really, really nice.
Those are the best memories right there.
Yeah.
So also congratulations. I saw on your Instagram that A Special Place for Women is being made for TV. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Okay. Well, tell us the tea. Spill the tea, Laura.
All right. So I am lucky enough that I get to adapt it. So I'm going to be taking a crack at writing the pilot script myself, with the help of a really wonderful showrunner, supervisor woman. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Paramount Studios is the studio on it, and then Samantha Bee's production company is producing it.
Do you already have like an idea of who the characters are? Because I do.
Do you? Wait, I want to hear yours.
I don't know. I just see them in my head. And, you know, when you read a book, I'm a very visual, like I have like a crazy imagination. I can come up with all kinds of crazy ideas, and I just see them when I can't in every book I read, but yours was very discreet. I could see it. Like I could see the women in the club. I could see what they were wearing and what kind of purses they had and what, you know, what they drank and what they ate. I could just see that. And so I picture this girl gang vibe. Like they're just powerful women. And I'm like, when is this happening? Because I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. The idea of being able to just give a bunch of amazing, funny, talented actresses really juicy roles and like having them just go is so cool to me. And I really hope it happens. Obviously, with TV, it has to go through like 20 million different levels. So, you know, we're developing it, but then we have to pitch it to a network, and then they have to give us the money to make a pilot, and then they have to decide if they want a full season. So
maybe it'll be an Amazon Prime original. I don't know. Amazon, knock, knock.
Are you listening, Amazon?
Are you listening, Amazon? Hear us. Hear us. I feel like you're winning regardless, Laura, because it's already a beautiful book. So we already get the book, and we can already feel the story. So if it's a shame if a network doesn't pick that up, because it's already winning.
Thank you.
So that is exciting. One of my favorite parts of your book is you said a quote at the beginning. There's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women, by Madeleine Albright. I love that quote, by the way. And I thought that was really good with the twists and turns of some of the characters in the book. So I have to ask you too, as an actress, what roles have you played? Where have we seen you? And what's that like? I guess I've never had an actress on the show. That's so cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, if you spent a lot of time in New York City going to weird off-Broadway shows and shows in warehouses and shows in graveyards, you might have seen me. I literally did a site-specific show in a graveyard. So that was fun.
That's actually really cool. I've never been to New York City other than driving through it on the outskirts. So I've always wanted to go, but now there's like a pandemic, and I'm like, on a good day, I'm a germaphobe. On a really pandemic day, it's like, nope, I'll just stay home.
Yeah, maybe now's not the time. Give it a little bit. Yeah.
Give it a minute.
Then definitely do go once it's safe again.
I'm ready. I'm super excited. Someday.
Yeah. Yes. But I mean, there obviously is an amazing theater scene there. So it was cool getting to work on a lot of productions ranging from sort of experimental to more straightforward. I did some really wonderful children's shows because I think for a while people decided that they wanted to cast me as like a 5-year-old girl because I could somehow play that convincingly. And then I did a movie. I had a small role in a movie, Noah Baumbach movie, While We're Young, which was really fun to do. And I had a musical comedy duo, and we made some, YouTube videos that did pretty well.
That's pretty fun. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. I don't know that I could ever be an actress, but that sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Okay, so on your bio, I have to ask you this because I'd be crazy not to. You said you have a treadmill story where you fell off twice in one day. What happened?
Okay, so this was in high school, and I was not a sporty kid, but I was like, I need to develop an athletic interest so that I can get into a good college. So I joined the gym, and I started running on a treadmill because I was like, maybe I could join the track team. Maybe that's my thing. So it was my first time on a treadmill. I started going. I was like 0.3 miles in. I was feeling good. I was like, this is the new me. And then I tripped over my shoelace and I fell off the treadmill, but like not immediately. I grabbed onto the bar. The belt was dragging me backwards. It made a huge screeching noise. Everyone in the gym turned to look. Finally, I went flying off the back. But I was like, you know what? I'm so embarrassed. but I am going to get back on that horse. Like, that's what you should do. When you're embarrassed, you don't just skulk off and cry. You try again. So I stepped back on the treadmill, but because I'd never really used it before, I didn't realize we were supposed to like turn it off before stepping back on. So I just casually stepped onto a fast moving treadmill and immediately fell off again. So that's my treadmill story.
That sounds like something I can relate to. I'm very non-athletic myself, and I consider yoga and walking to be the extent of my exerting myself.
Well, walking is great. I'm very
with an audible book is great.
Yeah, I take a walk every morning if it's not
every morning, and it is the best way. So, what are you currently working on? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, there was an announcement about it.
I must have missed it.
So I'm working on a new novel with my same editor and same publishing company, and it is about the stars of a High School Musical / Mickey Mouse Club-esque show in the early 2000s. So they're teenagers who suddenly become very famous and then combust spectacularly during their live season finale. And so now it's 12 years later, and they're all being brought back for a reunion special. But of course, there's lots of unfinished business and betrayals and secrets and romance and all of that. So it's been a really fun one to work on. And it means that I get to listen to a lot of Jessica Simpson and Britney Spears and call it research.
I was just going to say, I'm getting some serious Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake vibes here for sure. I cannot remember his name, but Jillian's love interest in the book.
Totally Miles.
Okay, love their story. Love their story. I absolutely loved it. And I just was so happy with how that turned out. I just had to tell you that.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read the book and wants to, but like, there's a bit of a love triangle. I don't think I've had anybody be team one of the characters. Like everybody's like, thank God she ended up with this one.
I could see it going anyway, so I was really shocked and followed it. And then you had some other twists in there that I was like, wait, what? Oh, where'd that come from? Okay. That was really good, unexpected. And so it was a really great book. And I think this is going to be a fantastic TV show. And I cannot wait for that. So any advice for aspiring creatives, whether it be other actresses, actors, or aspiring writers? What would you say has been kind of a secret to your success?
Oh my gosh, a secret to my success.
That was a great movie, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Might have been before your time. Secret of My Success. It was in the 80s. That'll say how old I am. But that was a good movie. But what is the secret of your success?
I think being able to take notes has been really, really helpful. Like, obviously, we all want the thing that we do to be perfect the first time around, and for you to show a performance or a draft of something to people and have them be like, this is incredible, it's the best thing ever, you're a sparkling angel, and your brain is perfect. But I think we all need to learn and grow and try and fail and be better. And so I think not giving up when somebody is like, okay, there's the seed of something here that's really good, but I think you need to make some big changes. Being able to, if you trust that person and think that they have good advice, being able to say like, okay, I'm going to put my pride aside and work harder on this, has been the most helpful thing that I've been able to do. I think like with Happy and You Know It, my previous book, I wrote the first 50 to 100 pages of it and showed it to an agent, and she was like, oh, I love the concept of this, and I really like some of these supporting characters, but do you think that your main character is boring and shouldn't be in the book? And she said it in a much nicer way than that. But as we talked about it, I was like, whoa, yeah, there's this main character in here who's adding nothing, and why don't I cut her out and then bump up these two supporting characters as like the main characters? And that made the whole book so much better. And if I had just been like, how dare you? That's my artistic vision to have a boring main character. Like, I don't know if this book would have gotten published.
I would have probably had my moment of that. And then I would have been like, fine, you're right.
Yeah.
This needs to be every woman's book club book. You guys recommend this to your book clubs. So good. You had some twists in there. I don't like to give away spoilers because this was a really good book. I read it in like a day and a half. I couldn't stop reading it. And I told my kids that they had to make their own dinner. I'm busy reading. Mommy's working. No, I'm just kidding. No, I read them dinner as I'm holding the book, reading it, stirring things.
Oh my gosh.
But it was really good. I was already a fan and owned Happy and You Know It. But where can we find you on social and plug in and stay tuned in with you?
Yeah, I think Instagram is probably the best place. So at Laura Hankin. But I also have a Twitter that I neglect for weeks at a time and then come back and get really into for a little while. Also at Laura Hankin. And then I've recently started doing TikTok. So
did you? Okay, I have to tell you something after we end this about that. Some really good, juicy author talk tea.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm so excited.
That's good. But if you guys are not on TikTok looking at books, book talk, author talk, get over there. I mean, I love you, Amazon, but we get book talk. I find so many, I'm always like, yes. And then going over to Amazon and buying books. It's become a problem. My husband's like, and Amazon's here again.
Yeah.
And then he looks at me like, you did this. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. But I need to read for work.
Yeah. It sounds like you read pretty quickly. So you got to have a steady supply.
I got to have a stack. The TBR stack needs to be replenished.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Nothing worse than being like, wait a minute, I don't have a book to read. What am I supposed to do?
How do I do life? How do I breathe? I don't know. But guys, you will love A Special Place for Women. Love I don't even know how I would even describe it other than it's a story of, it's a special place of women for legacy, supporting women in a sisterhood that's unexpected. And actually, now that I have a question, where did this idea come from before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So to give like the quick pitch of the book, it's about an undercover reporter who decides that she's going to infiltrate this top secret women-only social club for, the New York elite. And she's heard all sorts of rumors about them and how influential they are, but then she finds out that they're actually far more powerful than she ever imagined. And so the idea for this came because I went to an all-women co-working space as like a guest one day. A friend of mine was a member. And I was so excited because I heard all these wonderful things about this place. Like it was a true women-supporting women place, no men allowed. You would go, you'd feel safe and accepted. And also it was very stylish and beautiful. And they were making the world a better place. But you could also like network, it was just this sort of utopia for women. And I went and I just immediately felt so out of place, some of which I think was my own social anxiety. But I was just like, wow, all the women here are so much more impressive than I am, and I don't fit in. And then this woman in the elevator was talking about, how the struggle in her life was that it was really hard dating a celebrity chef because he was never free for brunch. And I was like, wow, we are different, you and I.
So our lifestyles are not the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it just got me thinking about like the benefits of these all women spaces and how women could lift one another up. And then also, some of the false promises of some of these places, and how do you have
and the expense.
And the expense. Yeah, exactly. And how do you make sure that the women who like really need help in sisterhood are getting it, and that you aren't just replicating the same power structure that has been there forever of like the shinier people and the wealthier people keeping everybody else out. So that's where it came from.
Well, that connected a lot of dots, actually. I was like, wow, I see that now. I actually belong to a female co-working space too, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels down to earth. Most of the moms in there bring blankets with them, and there's free coffee and unlimited snacks, and it's actually really a cool place. And there's these chairs that swing from the ceiling, so you can curl up with your laptop in one of the swings and just swing while you work. So a lot of the moms will be like writing and swinging.
Oh my God, where is this place?
In Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
It's really fun. And I'm like, wow, I didn't feel that vibe at mine. I think you got to find a new one.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of why I wanted to write this book is because I was like, I think that these places have so much potential, and there is a world in which people go and swing on the swings and write their books and give each other the sisterhood and support that they need. And then there's a way that they can get corrupted too. And like, how can we keep trying and find the right way to do it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. And you can find at Laura Hankin on Instagram and Twitter occasionally. And definitely follow her on Amazon here, because what I like to do is follow all my authors that I love here. So I never miss if they put a book out, and I can always pre-order things. So when she does have her newest book coming up, her fourth one, you guys can pre-order, and maybe we can schedule you back for that debut, and then share that as well, so people can pre-order and directly buy it. But I love to grab my Kindle, and when I have a favorite author, I go ahead and follow them, so I never miss out on when they have something coming up in the hopper. So thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys can grab a special place for women down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for coming, Laura.